like this better.
Right, we're live.
Alright, hopefully we're back, guys. Hopefully we're here. Just had some technical issues. I'm gonna keep rambling on until I get a thumbs up from one of yous that we're okay, which we are. So, to dive very quickly right back into the thick of things, Owen, you had just asked for some booze from the proprietor to use in some form of flammable projectile. What are you doing?
Yes, the nearest bottle of Jock McDaniels. Not wanting to break any copyright infringements. Yeah, and he gets the bar rag, stuffs it into the bottle, and quickly strikes it up. Tinderbox to ignite a flame on the soaked end.
Okay.
And once it's a flame, he takes his makeshift, let's see, we'll call it Waterdeep cocktail, and lob it with all his strength at the troll.
All right, make a ranged attack for me, please.
So that will be plus. It won't necessarily be.
Take away your proficiency bonus. Weapon. It's technically an improvised weapon.
Right. Okay. That is actually a plus dexterity, which is actually 21.
21. Wow. Yeah, that absolutely hits the troll. Smack dab right in the chest and smashes all over the paper-like skin of this troll, and it immediately ignites, lighting the troll on fire, who just gives out this horrible, horrible howl, and the smell of burnt troll flesh also fills the room.
Okay. And he'll immediately, practically as soon as the bottle leaves his hand, ready for his next move, and that will be his end of turn.
Sounds good. Zirin, you are up.
Okay, awesome. So around the room, we have how many of these bat-like things with their long proboscises?
There's two left.
Two left. Okay.
The rest that kind of popped off the troll were so bloated with troll blood that they just fell back into the hole.
Oh, that's real gross. Oh, I missed that somehow. Okay, so I am going to turn to Xanthi, who's, I guess, in front of me, so that's easy enough. But I'll tell you. Just hit it fast. Just hit it fast so that we can be done with it. Bardic Inspiration to you. And then I'm going to... I don't really have... Oh, I don't have ranged weapons, but I do have a dagger. So let's just... Oh, goodness. Yeah, I'll just throw a dagger at one of the other little guys.
Okay. By all means.
Thank you. Natural 20.
Holy shit.
Okay.
Very nice.
So that is going to be... okay. 5, 6, 7 damage.
Okay, the dagger flies out of your hand, stabbing deep into this creature and actually pinning it on one of the walls, and it just goes limp.
Nice.
Stuck. All right. As we come now to the troll's turn, who you immediately notice, disturbingly enough, begins to heal slightly. But then it stops as it reaches that section of char, that section that is being burnt off by the kind of Waterdeep cocktail that was thrown on it. And it kind of howls, almost frustration, like it fully expected itself to heal, but it just didn't. And so it lashes out at the closest thing to it, which would probably be Atreus, to be honest. Closest and biggest thing. It would kind of go for that target. So we will do that. and it is going to make a bite and 2 claw attacks on you, Atreus.
Okie dokie.
The bite, is a 25.
Yeah, that'll do it.
But then the 2 claws come in just completely haphazardly, and at this point you are now fully aware, and you just kind of knock the arms out of the way. This is nothing, really. And you will take, wow, max damage on the bite for 10 piercing damage.
Oh, good God. Okay. That'll dig pretty deep into Atreus' flesh. You'll see gouts of blood where it rips chunks out of his flesh. Just managing to get behind the shield as he's kind of loosening it up from his back and bringing it around. It just gets in beforehand.
Yeah, perfect. And it is your go now, Atreus.
Right, so having took that first initial brunt and letting loose a roar of his own, Atreus will drag the shield down with a smack and drop to a knee, rip the sword out from its sheath, and there'll be a bit of a blaze in his eyes as he drops into a rage and attempts to stick his sword deep into the troll's guts. That's not bad, actually. 19, I believe, to hit.
19 hits.
Alright. Ooh, max damage for me as well. 9 points of damage. Slashing.
Nice.
And plus 2 from rage, I believe, as well. So 11 total.
Perfect. It is looking pretty rough indeed, as we come back to the top of the round with Xanthi.
I say to Faerun, who stands behind me, "You got it!" And seeing that the regeneration doesn't hit in the place where it's burned, I'm going to switch gears, and instead of doing an Eldritch Blast, I will cast Sacred Flame. So this brilliant divine fire engulfs the troll, and I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
Not good at all. 7.
Haha! In that case, I'm going to deal 7 points of radiant damage and 3 points of necrotic damage. It's the only kind of fire that I have on me.
Alright, perfect. It is looking rough.
And I would like to push a bit back away from the troll and mom-arming my little brother behind me, hurting him away from the danger.
Sounds good. As we come to one of the last, in fact, the last, little bat-flying creatures who will fly down and try and attach itself to Lael. Ooh, for a 21.
Yeah, that would hit.
And you are going to take 7 points of piercing damage, and this creature is now attached itself to you. You can feel its needle-like proboscis sticking into your arm. And that's its turn. And you're up.
I want to get this thing off me. It's disgusting. I would like to take my longsword, please, and I would like to just try and cut it off wherever it is.
Sure. Go ahead and make an attack roll for me. It's easy enough to kind of flourish a sword like that and bring it down sharply on the side of your...
That's a 13.
A 13 does not hit, surprisingly, as you worry that you're gonna hit yourself, and you just kind of warble, or maybe there's just that slight moment of like, oh god, this is so gross. But for whatever reason, you do not make contact with this. However, you watch, shockingly, as all of a sudden Renly comes running out of nowhere, out of the table, leaps up, grabs this creature directly off of you, stabs it with a dagger, and drags the dagger up, splitting it in half, and rips it apart. And then just immediately goes and cowers back in. Renly, by the way, that was your turn.
Sounds about right. Yeah, sounds about right.
No complaints?
You're welcome.
And Owen, you are up.
Okay, seeing the troll still alive and kicking and taking a chunk out of his friend, he will heave back on his bow, mighty draw as hard as he can. He is going to employ his sharpshooter. I've got it all set up here on Fight Club. He's going to employ his sharpshooter to take a hit to his attack for extra damage.
16 absolutely hits.
Nice. 14 points.
14 points of damage.
I
You
love
pull long and hard back. You feel the bow's wood in your hands creaking and aching from the tension that you put on it. And you let loose. The arrow flies true. Flies straight, the fletching creating this beautiful spin that slides itself directly into the neck of this troll, bursting out the backside of its skull in a spray of blood and brain viscera. The troll kind of stands for a second, and you actually watch disturbingly as some of the flesh begins to kind of knit itself back around the arrow, and then it just falls backward in this burning mass of limbs and flesh, diving down into the pit as you have bested the troll. As we come out of combat, and you all kind of panting and kind of looking around, the proprietor walks up and he just looks at you all and he goes, "You fought well." And he just goes back to his business.
Owen's going to hop down from the bar. He's going to wander up to Atris, but he's looking back at the well and with a thoroughly annoyed look on his face. Could have done with getting that arrow back.
Atreus, for his part, pulls himself up out of the crouch, and ignoring the massive gaping wound on his arm, he actually steps up to the well and looks down it to make sure there's nothing else coming up, it seems, before finally letting his guard down, taking the sword back and beginning to wipe it on his tunic before sheathing it. That thing, that hurt.
Yeah, how you doing there, buddy?
He doesn't actually respond, but you see him take a vial that sits around his neck, a little clear glass vial. He takes it, and there's a clear liquid inside, and he puts it to his finger and puts a drop on it. And he takes it and he runs it down his brow, just in between his nostril, right down to the very front of his maw. And you hear him mutter under his breath, "Odesi, Odesi, Gratael Dragon." And a moment later, his eyes seem to dim a little bit, and he slings the shield back up. And then he looks at you, and then he begins to address the wound he's got. "I'll be fine. Surigar."
Yeah, good to know. And Owen looks back over to the barkeep. He says, "Like, you don't understand. This clears up our tab, right?"
This kind of thing happens all the time. I still expect you to pay me. And for the bottle you used.
Come on, you can't let a man have a bottle for free under the circumstances.
You think I'd like to give out a bottle to every dumbass adventurer who finds himself defending my bar? You know how many times I have to deal with that kind of shit? Doesn't matter.
This time you don't have to deal with it, do you? Maybe next time we'll just let him wreck the joint. Owen just shakes his head and just wanders over to the restaurant.
At this point, all of you hear, "Well, I say!" And walking over is just this very kind of flamboyantly dressed individual. You've been holding your hand up for a while, Zero.
I know it's okay. I want to check on...
You completely cut out right there.
Oh, nuts. Can you still hear me? Not.
Yes.
Yes. No. Okay. I want to check on the half orc, who was in that brawl, and see if they're
Can I say something real quick before you go over there?
Yeah.
So after the fight, standing like this, I'm like, see, sweetie, and this is why you shouldn't go into such a place as this alone. You're way too young and too innocent to deal with this kind of thing on a regular basis. Good thing that I came with you on this field trip. Let's check out the lady, if she's okay, I mean.
Yeah. Okay.
And I accompany him.
The half-orc is still unconscious.
Okay. I want to check her vitals.
She's fine, just
Okay.
unconscious. Definitely
sleeping.
bruised and bloodied.
Okay. All right.
With a flourish of my sword, I kind of like flick any blood off my blade before I kind of like resheath it, and it's like a whole dance movement to resheath this thing. I have to pull my arm back, pull it back, and then pull it down before I clip it in with my thumb. I would like to check on my retainers. Where are they? Is Alus still on the floor? Where is Randall? Where is Kellen?
Alust is fine. Randall, finally, you're kind of looking around, panning, and all of a sudden you see him. He's in the back, and he's just, and then finally he gets his sword out, and he's like, "Duh!" Oh, bollocks. Just, I'm sorry. Be quicker next time. I went to try, and I stepped back, and then I tripped over a chair again.
Okay.
Kellen is nowhere to be seen, by the way.
Is he not?
He hasn't been with you at the table, and he's nowhere to be seen now.
Okay. It's at this moment that you just see my hand reach for where I was pincered. And while I was standing quite erect and quite prepared, I suddenly looked very exhausted. I am hurt.
Lyle's going to, Owen's going to wander up to Lyle in her current state, and he's just like, "Hey, are you seriously hurt?"
Nothing a good night's sleep won't fix.
From anybody else, I'd see that as an invitation.
You would be half as lucky.
Yeah, you're right there, your ladyship. And he's going to look under the table to Renly. Assuming he's still under there.
Probably.
Just like, you're pretty handy with that dagger. Is that a fringe benefit of being crazy?
Oh, hi.
You have no idea what he's talking about, but
sorry, are you talking?
yeah, you have no idea what Owen's talking.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I kind of blacked out there for a second. I'm not very good when it comes to these types of situations. Maybe you, yeah, that was a bit frightening for me, if you can imagine.
What are you talking about? I owe you my life.
But, my lady, I was just under the table, cowering like a fool.
Lyle points to the daggered, stabbed,
ripped apart.
Yeah, the ripped apart carcass by her feet, and she was like, "You did that."
Me? I did that. Oh, bother. I don't remember.
Look, kid, I tried the false modesty route. It doesn't always pan out. He reaches under the table and offers a hand to Renly to help him out.
At this point...
And he just... Alright. And he just reaches his hand out. Slowly.
as you're pulling him out from under the table, the figure who had begun to approach you now kind of steps fully into view, pushing past all of the other patrons here. And he strokes a mustache, adjusts his floppy hat, and he tightens a scarf around his neck as he says, "Well, my name is Volothamp Gadam, chronicler, wizard, and celebrity at your service. I trust you've noted the violence in our fair city these past 10 days. I haven't seen so much blood since my last visit to Baldur's Gate. But now I fear I have misplaced a friend amid this odious malevolence." Says, "My friend's name is Floon Blagmar. He's got more beauty than brains, and I worry he took a bad way home a couple nights ago and was kidnapped. Or worse. If you will agree to track him down with all due haste, you well capable of handling a troll, I can offer you 10 dragons apiece now, and I can give you 10 times that when you find Floon. May I prevail upon you in my hour of need?"
On one condition, that you pay for that bottle we used.
Well, of course, absolutely, I absolutely can, yes.
Good, because I'm not paying for it, he says. He mouths back to the barkeep.
To which the proprietor just rolls his eyes.
I would like to go over him, and I get out one of my gadgets and my little notebook full of stuff that engineering notes and inventions and stuff. And I, Mr. Wilson, would you please give me your autograph?
He says, "Oh, yes, absolutely. I assume you have read my book, Volo's Guide to Monsters?"
I did. It was very enlightening.
She says, "Well, yes, I'm still awaiting royalty payments from that. I'm working on a new one," he says. "I really am. It's called Volo's Guide to Spirits and Spectres. Very macabre."
Ooh, it sounds very scary. I mean, I know you're a great wizard and all, but maybe I could interest you in a more scientific approach. And I start showing him my invention.
He does indeed take it, and at some point, you do hear him kind of mutter under breath at the fact that he would love to lord this kind of knowledge over somebody he refers to as L. But you're not really sure what that could potentially mean. But he does eventually give you an autograph that reads, "Hugs and kisses, Volo, XOXO."
You do realize what that means, right?
He says, "No."
Well, if you write it down, you have to follow through.
He says, "Follow through with what?"
Yeah, hugs and kisses, of course.
"Oh, yes, we'll come here, my dear."
On his chest.
And he gives you a hug, and then he will plant 2 kisses firmly on your cheeks.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt this, whatever this is, but
Please do.
we came here looking for work. Are you the clown that posted this rumor?
I'm one and the very same, you see. I'm excellent with rumors. One thing I'm very good at. I always know where to find them.
One thing we're good at is killing. That's exactly what we do. So, do you have any work for a mercenary company by any chance?
Well, I have work that doesn't require you to get your hands dirty. All you merely need to do is find my friend Floon. And
What
yes,
does
what
your
is
friend
your
look like?
question?
My question is you're still waiting for your royalties.
Oh yes, legalities and all of that, and publishing companies and copyright infringement and all sorts of other things. Publishing wizards, you can't trust them.
Certainly. But how do you intend to pay us 10 times as much if you don't have the coin yet.
He says, well, I'm still waiting on royalties, but that does not flush with the world. Come now. Of course I have the money.
You'll forgive me. I'm Drow after all, and I have met my share of liars. I would like to insight check him, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Insight 4? You're not going to believe that. My hands are here.
Fair enough. Yeah. No, he is for sure stretching the truth about how much money he's got.
Okay. I'm just going to rest a hand on my hip. And I'm going to look to Atreus, because he seems like the most clued up one out of everyone I have met today. And I'm just going to raise a brow and tilt my head.
Atreus, who's sat himself back down in the same seat, having pulled it up, and he's got one big two-fingered hand clamped around this bleeding wound in his arm. He's been watching the whole thing very casually as he's been carefully binding it back up. And he fixes Volo with a stare. A mercenary company does not survive on promises. You should at least pay half up front.
He says, well, here, let me do this at least. And he pulls out 6 small pouches, and he sets them down. There is your 10 gold advance. Is that not good enough? That's 10 dragons.
Atreus takes one, begins to pull it open, pulls out a coin, bites it, see if it's genuine.
It is.
Casually tosses the coin back. It'll do for now.
Excellent. My associate Floon is handsome. He's a human male in his early 30s. His wavy red blonde hair. He was dressed quite princely the last I saw him. 2 nights ago, before Floon disappeared, he and I were drinking and merrymaking at the Skewered Dragon. Have any of you ever heard of that place?
Nope.
It's difficult to tell if a Minotaur's eyes can roll, given that they're on the size of his head, but they appear to...
Owens looks briefly to Atreus and catches that, knowing full well the meaning behind it. It's like, I might have heard it once or twice.
Says, well, I would recommend you start your search there.
Was he gambling by chance?
We were getting into all sorts of things. In fact, he gave me a good idea for another book. After Volo's Guide to Spirits and Spectres, I would do Volo's Guides to Spirits and Alcohol.
We can only hope you survive that long, says Atreus with the utmost insincerity, and he catches Owen's eyes across the bar and simply shakes his head very minutely.
Owen's going to go, he looks slightly concerned, but he's going to go over with a sigh, just plonk himself next to Atreus. And he goes, you know that bad feeling I said I had? Yeah, it just got worse.
Indeed. The worst part is we're likely to be going in with the same people. I can only hope the outcome is different.
Looks fine. I've still got 2 weeks to pay up. It's okay.
Just hope it stays at 5,000.
Look, if this guy really is who he says he is, you know, I think it's worth a shot. We haven't got much choice, have we?
True. Sometimes when a warrior is backed into a corner, all he can do is lower his head and charge.
Meanwhile, what do you make of this guy? And he nods to Volo.
A chakar. But the money is money.
I think Miorosok is the first word that came to my mind.
At this point, Lael, you've been looking around. Kellen's not here.
I click my fingers. to summon Randall to me.
Randall. Yes, ma'am.
Find Kellen. Quickly.
He's not here.
Stay away from the portal.
I'll be going up the stairs right away. And you see him run over to the stairs, and he does that little stutter step where you kind of miss the stair, and he looks over at you and he gives you a thumbs up because he didn't fall over this time, and then he runs up the stairs some more. He goes up, and about 5 minutes later he comes back down and he goes, he's not in here. He must have left.
Why would he leave my service?
Well, I don't think he's left permanently left, but
he's not here, not serving.
At this point, the door opens, and you look, and Kellen is kind of trying to close it behind him. He's kind of pulled off the cowl now that is soaking wet with rainwater. And he kind of gives his red hair a flip. And he tries to kind of ignore you. He doesn't look your way. He seems to think that he can kind of sneak back upstairs.
Kellen!
And then maybe come... He stops. You see his shoulders kind of sag. Yes! What can I do for you? I was merely readying your evening. And would you like to go and see the city? I can take you around.
I'm going to turn my blue eyes and insight check him. And that's an 18 plus 4, 22.
You've spent some time with Kellen.
Yeah.
If there is one thing you can trust about Kellen, is the fact that he has always been truthful with you. And he has never done anything like this before. But you can see now that he is intentionally keeping something from you.
Lyle leans in, she stoops down, because, he's a gnome.
Sure.
She's much taller than him.
Sure, yeah, no, for sure.
Kellen, by the goddess's good graces, I can see you're keeping something from me.
Do not fret yourself with it, my lady. It is... I have been here before. Before I came into the service of your family. And it would be best for you to keep yourself out of it. Politics and dealing with the repercussions of my faults are not your weight to bear. I assure you, shall I need to go on yet another one of my business ventures, I shall inform you and request specific permission. Is there anything I can do for you? Immediately, my lady. And he's taken on a degree of formality with you. You generally refer to Kellen in not necessarily a father-like tone, probably more a grandfather in a way. It's very much that kind of repertoire of, you kind of snap and he teases and everything else, but he's now very much settled into, I'm your steward, you are my commander, tell me what to do.
Kellen, I'd like you to do 2 things. The first is to remember that man, and she points at Volo. You are to collect 10 dragons from him and add it to my purse. And when I return, you are to collect a further 100 dragons from him. I'm sure that puts our books in good stead.
Yes, that will help wondrously.
Excellent.
And he immediately begins to note that down.
Before you go, one more thing. The second thing is, while I am away, I want you to remember that You are a steward of House Torvir, and your business dealings are our business dealings.
Very well, my lady.
Do not bring trouble to my door and put my mother's mission in jeopardy. I will leave you to think about that.
As you wish. Come, Eluse, Randall. We have work to do.
And then she looks very, like, chuffed at herself that she's, like, practiced her matronly stuff. After all, she is heir apparent to her mother being the eldest daughter.
And the rest of you?
Renly kind of walks over to Lael and very nervously, I heard them say the word mercenary. Is that what we are? I'm a librarian. I read books. I read adventures. I don't go on them. I'm just feeling a little overwhelmed. If you could understand.
It's perfectly fine. The day you crossed my path is the day you entered an adventure, my friend. And she pats him on the shoulder.
And he looks like he's very like, that was a very profound thing for him to say, like, oh wow, you're right.
The goddess has many plans for us, and one day I will tell you about each of my retainers and how they came into the goddess's service, and you will see that things happen for a reason.
Well, my lady, that is a story I believe I'd quite like to hear.
They do happen for a reason.
Oh no.
Always remember, you were the one who let me out.
I did not let you out. It is not my fault.
Murderer.
I am not. Lael, do you think I'm a murderer? Am I a murderer?
Well, you did put that creature down quite quickly. But it was not sentient, therefore murder does not count.
See? I told you I'm not a murderer! Sorry.
Yeah, look, before we go any further, Owen looks at Tabolo. He says, you understand that what we have here is a binding verbal contract, but before we take one step out of this here, we need to be sure about our fee. 5,000 on job completion, not a penny less.
You're turning to Volo and saying this?
Yeah.
He says,
Well, I mean, I can't provide that kind of money. I'm still waiting on the royalties of mine.
Well,
Fine.
then let's
Look, he says. I didn't want to do this, and I didn't want to have to tell you, but it seems that I'm going to have to, just to get you to do what I need. He says, I confess, I have few coins to spare. But never let it be said that Volo reneges on a promise. Allow me to present something much more valuable.
and he holds out a scroll tube.
Can I take
He says, if you want to try and beat Owen to it.
Damn right.
Okay. Both of you make a dexterity check.
He's gone and sat down next to Atreus.
Dex sleight of hand.
Okay.
Okay, well good.
+1. That's a 19. I'm going to change dice. I think this one's fudged.
Yeah, 15.
Okay. So you get your hand on it, and you're just about to curl your fingers around it, when all of a sudden just poof, it's just snatched right out of your hand with lightning quick agility.
He gives Lael a harsh look. He's going to try and snatch it out of her hand again.
Okay. I need you to make a sleight of hand check, and I need you to make a strength athletics check to hold on to them. 17.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to roll a different dice because I just rolled my 5th 18. So I'm changing to this dice.
I have to.
No, it's fudged. It's not fair. And that is a 17 from me.
She holds on firmly.
Just give it to
He says,
he
inside
looks like...
is the deed to a remarkable property here in Waterdeep. I am willing to give it to you, should you complete my task. We'll need a magistrate to witness the transaction of ownership, and I'll arrange with one after you've inspected the estate and deemed it satisfactory. All of this, of course, relies on the fact that you find my friend!
Hey, we never...
Of course we will.
He actually, I'm just going to look back over his shoulder slightly, and just, what do you think?
I think it's a friend. Why is he so special to you?
Well, he says, I don't have many. And the ones I do have, they don't like having me around.
That is because you are a liar, Lyle says as she's inspecting.
I am not!
I mean,
put
really,
you up to this, did he not?
I'm like standing up.
It's not funny when you go invisible, make me look like an ass.
he yells around.
Oh god. I'm trying to chair over dagger, and when she says that, I turn around like over my shoulder as I'm pulling it out and say, yeah, it pays to be honest once in a while.
If nothing else, the house, or whatever it is, ought to sell for a pretty penny.
Or we could all live together.
No thanks. I'd rather stick with the mouldy floorboards.
Fine.
Yeah, besides, if we don't get this money together, then we won't be doing much living. And he sort of looks to Lael and composes himself and just holds his hand out, just as I say, please.
She doesn't want to give it to you. She actually holds it in her hand like this. And she says, you need money.
It's a long story.
If you want this, she wiggles it.
How about, give me the scroll, and I promise I'll tell you later, okay? Not here, not now.
She hands it back.
And tucks it away in his belt pouch and just gives her a solemn nod, and there's no smile there, no merriment, just a little something flits through his eyes, and he turns to Volo and he says, I think we've got a deal here.
Excellent. And I assume I'm not getting that back then?
Let's just say we'll hold on to it for safekeeping.
Well, then there's nothing else for it. Durnan, a drink!
And Durnan just like,
Fine.
and Volo wanders off.
Don't we need to find some information out?
Don't worry, we'll come up to
Leo
it.
goes
Just
to
letting
find-
You
them know
have a
what you've
description.
seen.
Okay.
You have the last place he was seen.
Okay. Okay. I guess that's enough.
Yeah, I was just letting the scene just fade to.
Renly just kind of walks up to you guys and just, if I might interject, I'm feeling a little queasy about the whole thing. I perhaps I'll just stay behind and let you guys go do your thing. I'll wait here. We will stay here and we will just wait for you to return.
Tie them now.
No,
Happening again.
Renly. I need to keep my eye on you. You will be coming with us.
Are you sure? I'm just not going to drag you behind. Like, I don't... This seems very important, and Renly doesn't think that this is really a job for him to take part in. I don't know.
There might be books.
What kind of books?
I don't know. What kind of books do you find in taverns?
Well, we could have a discussion about this all day long if you'd like, but...
Well then, there's no time like the present. We can walk and talk.
Well...
And for the first time...
Woo me with books.
You guys
Alright, we'll go.
see Renly relax. His body language eases. You actually see a little bit of a light come into his eyes as he begins to talk to you about his favorite books, and it is for the men. It's like when it's like when you come back after the long shopping trip, and then you get the fashion show. You know, and.
I feel like Zirin read all these that he's mentioning, but is just like not saying anything about it.
Yeah, to you they were probably shit, but to Renly he says it all with so much excitement and zeal that it's interesting. Are you all leaving the tavern to try and investigate?
First of all, Owen's just going to he's going to shoulder his equipment, get everything ready to move, and he's just going to address everybody and say, "Look, I'm a little familiar with the skewered dragon. Okay, we'll go there, let me do the talking. There might be trouble. So, just stay alert."
I have to say, Finn, I don't agree with the way Blackstaff Tower is handling those assignments. I mean, giving you a troll to handle on this field trip seems a bit much. But on the other hand, all the networking you can get to do with mercenary parties and maybe priestesses or servants of the gods, that is actually quite nice, right? It's a handy thing to have for a wizard to know people around the city and outside of it. So interesting how they deal with this stuff.
I couldn't have phrased it better myself.
And we got to meet Volo. That's...
Wait.
I have his autograph.
The Blackstaff's words echo in your heads. One honest day.
Oh, I'm going to have to build up to that honest day. I'm going to build that honest day on a bed of lies.
Overhearing that, I'm assuming you overheard that. Owen's going to actually shoot Xanthi a quick glance. Field trip?
Yes. That's what we're doing, right?
Yeah, we're on a field trip. Well, I'm on a field trip.
I mean, yeah, you are not. You are a mercenary. But my brother is going to be a world-famous wizard when he's done studying.
There's a sort of barking laugh from Atreus' direction that gets muted halfway through.
Owen sort of looks at Atreus as he is, and he's just...
What's that look for?
And he walks away.
Do you know how expensive that school is? I'm putting him on.
I have a funny feeling it will be around about 5,000 gold.
It's actually more than that.
It is expensive.
It's much more than that.
Well, no time like the present. What do you say we get moving?
Let's go.
Okay, so you all step out into a beautiful spring rain. It's cooling, not a deluge by any means, but enough to make a person wet.
I have a question.
Yes, dear.
How is the sunlight?
Dimmed. Definitely dimmed.
Cool.
You will not have sensitivity at the moment.
Cool.
And you travel very quickly from the Yawning Portal back down Soothsayer's Way. You head down Snail Street, deeper into the Dock Ward, and you begin to approach Fillet Lane and Net Street. Just inside of that block is where the Skewered Dragon is, which is not very far from the Blackthorn Company down on Smuggler's Run.
Wow.
We're subtle. What a subtle group we are. Wow.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. If you missed that, viewers, there's no hope for you.
No.
I'm pretty
Inside
sure
rules
you
not
could
needed.
have put up a neon sign.
I mean, crit fails do happen on perception checks. I fail no one.
Did we mention there's a giveaway you can enter?
Yes.
Hint,
But
hint,
if you're in
not
the seal,
Beautiful. Anyway.
It is about late
Moving
afternoon
on.
as you guys are coming down into the dock. And you turn the corner from Snail Street onto Fillet Lane. And you find yourselves on a street that has been cordoned off by the City Watch. Lying on the cobblestones are a half-dozen corpses,
I'm sorry.
seemingly the victims of some terrible skirmish. Corpses. Watch officers have disarmed and arrested 3 blood-drenched humans and are in the midst of questioning witnesses. One of the officers sees you and says, "Get on! Nothing to see here."
I'm going to murmur to Atreus. What do you think? Zentarum? Zenithar?
I'll give it a look over, actually, to see if I can see any particular gang markings or anything like that on the bodies, any giveaways.
Okay, roll a perception check.
Sure thing.
Renly just kind of says, this
It's not bad at all.
city really is full of splendor, isn't it?
23.
23. You look, and on one individual's hand, tattooed kind of right here, the wrist, you notice a flying snake tattoo.
Okay.
Another individual, on the back of his neck, is an eye tattoo. Seems it was indeed a gang fight. As you all go to continue pushing your way through,
Do I
And pushing
recognize any of
past.
them?
not really. Like, not anybody noticeable, not anybody that you immediately recognize. As you all begin to continue on, you hear the guard say, "I said move on, please!" And he's berating Renly, who stands breathing rather heavily at the scene. You're not sure if he's hyperventilating or just what.
Owen looks back to him and just sort of glances at the others, and it's just like, "Get him!"
Leo goes up to him and places her hands between his shoulder blades and tries to move him on.
Ah, yes, sorry. My apologies. Onward then.
Excuse us, officer, Leo says with a bow of her head.
You
I-
watch
I-
yourself. Zirin.
Yeah, I can't help it. I'm gonna go up to the guard afterward and just tones say, "Really sorry about that, because my friend a couple months ago, he had an accident very similar to this outside of town, so he can't help but stare."
Right. Can I tell you something?
Sure.
I don't care.
All right.
Now get out of my face.
Okay.
Right, let's get them out of here. And he talks to the other guards that then begin to take the prisoners away. You begin to work your way through the dock ward. Tall, densely packed tenements leave most of the neighborhood in shadow at ground level. Most of the street lamps here that would be lit by the lamplighters and everything else like that have had their glass smashed, their candles stolen, and the smells of salt air and excrement linger as you pass by rows of rundown buildings.
Leo's hands go straight to her nose.
One particular shop.
I have a new gadget, and I get out a cartridge, put it in the rune arm, click it, and this smoke or this basically mist of perfume is wafting around us. We are covered in this cloud of lavender.
Is it travelling with us, or do we just just randomly leave behind a bit of potpourri? It's not doing us any good if it's not coming with us.
It's traveling with us. Because it's actually prestidigitation. It's doing the thing. It's like this breeze thing.
Sorry, I can't stop laughing.
Moving down the road,
Yeah,
one
please.
thing does catch your eye.
We smell fantastic now.
That, and there's a nearby shop that stands out from the others. It has a deep purple facade, and in its window hangs a stuffed beholder. Above the door hangs a sign whose elaborate letters spell out Old Zoblob Shop.
What's a Soblob shop?
Do we know this? The ones that have been born here?
I can't imagine Owen will have any interest in anything like that.
Yeah, no, Atreus and Owen, if you have passed it, you haven't even... This is the first time you're actually legit getting a look at it kind of thing. And you guys can indeed just pass it by if you'd like.
Yeah, what's a Zoblob? Is that, I guess, the name? Something? I don't know.
Does it look like it sells anything useful? Like potions?
Oh yeah.
I could use a potion.
Seems to sell all sorts of different things. Seems like a bits and bobs store, so maybe you'll find just about anything.
I need some potions. Lau just goes in. She don't care.
Okay. You go in and the door kind of rings this lovely ring, and you can see that this house / shop is just a hoarder's paradise. Shit is everywhere in here. On shelves, in desks, in drawers, things popping out of nowhere. Along the side walls are railings that seem to have ladders that slide back and forth. And one of these comes flying around a corner, and on it appears to just be a walking rock. And then you notice that this is weird. You're standing in front of another denizen of the Underdark. One of the Svirfnebli, a deep gnome. And he looks at you and he goes, "Hello. What can I do for you?" "My name is Zoblob. Pleasure to meet you. No relation to the Eye Tyrant in the
Holy fuck, Lau. What have you done? Okay.
I don't think I've laughed at my tits off this much during a game ever.
She looks taken aback.
"Well, shake my hand!"
She reaches out for it. Is it clean?
Not very.
She just takes it and...
He full-on grasps it, and then just childlike, just shakes the shit out of it. Just up and down. And then he goes, "Pleasure to meet you. We've got to stick together, us dark-skinned ones. Those paleys, they always get us, don't they?"
How long have you been on the surface now? She says as she takes her hand back and...
50. No! 30. No! 60. 25 years.
Do you miss it?
Not so much. He says, "You see, I used to serve one just like you."
A drow?
Oh, yes, yes. Quite a fanciful one he was. Had a feather in his hat and everything.
On the surface or in the Underdark?
Oh, in the Underdark. You see, I was his warehouse keeper. Back down in the city of Mantol-Dorith I was. Always wheeling and dealing I was. You see, he kept me around because I was very good to deal with the Svefneblin. Because we have a tendency to talk really, really fast, and sometimes he just can't pass it. So, are you buying anything?
Yes, actually, she says, and her eyes
I have
light
lots
up.
of things, lots of things. Here, let me show you. And he kind of goes over and he pulls out and he says, This is a candle.
And a beautiful candle it is. I was wondering if you had any health potions.
Health potion. Let me see. And he immediately kind of dives in under a desk, and shit just starts flying out. Like, he's just chucking things. You see clockwork mechanisms and beautiful ornate trinkets that you're kind of like, oh, shiny! And then it just kind of smashes against the wall and breaks apart and everything. And he just doesn't care. And he kind of comes out with, and he kind of rubbing the kind of flask off, and he goes, this is all I have. And you look, and maybe it might have once been a healing potion, but there is just like the smallest little driblet. It's like the shit left at the bottom of the beer bottle. It's just.
Yeah, no, I'm not drinking no backwash. Maybe another time then.
But I can give you a good deal. Only 3 nibs.
That indeed is a very good deal. But you know what I would rather...
That's garbage. You don't want that. And he smashes it on the ground, and it just breaks and smashes all over the shop.
Oh my
And he goes,
gosh.
I've got something better for you. Huh? Something very, very interesting. Let me go find it. Go on, keep talking. I'm listening. As he kind of wanders off.
So, like, outside, like, we're just waiting as she goes in. Like, a minute later, we hear maniacal laughter. And then another minute later, we hear things smashing against walls.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty
I
much.
think she needs help. Do we need her for the assignment?
I mean, we do. I think she's okay. Just kind of, like, looking into the window and then just, like, wincing every time something breaks.
So tell me more about your drow friends. Lil says, very regretting all her life choices up to this point.
She says, he says off in the distance, oh, it's not very important. I used to be the middleman. They would go and get goods from the surface, and I would ensure that they were transported back to their place, their domicile, if thou will. And then he kind of gets up high enough to see outside the shop. And he goes, are those your friends? Tell them to get off my bloody glass!
Now turns around to see.
Yeah,
And
there's
the
Siren and
others-
Sandy just pressed.
Can the others,
It's the whole,
can the
like,
others hear this?
exhale that just continuously fogs up that one piece of glass.
Can anybody outside the shop hear this screeching?
Oh, yeah, I mean, he's loud enough at this point, for sure.
Is Renly still with Lael, or is he outside?
No, Renly, I think, was outside, correct?
Yeah, he hasn't gone.
Owen's just gonna glance down at him. He's just like, friend of yours?
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, never mind.
Oh, right. Oh, okay then.
Tell them to come inside! Come inside! More customers!
She's like, backs away to the door, opens it, she sticks her head out, and he's like, he wants you to come inside.
For what?
I'm not setting one foot in there.
Atreus' head moves around the doorway, and given the tight spaces inside, he comes back and, there's no way I'm fitting in there.
I'm gonna wait. No.
I right behind you, Snow. Thank you.
Yeah, Minotaur in a potion shop notwithstanding, that guy's crazy as a loon.
She kind of like just looks at you all, and you kind of see this like worried expression flash over her features for a moment, and she bows her head and she goes, "Okay, all right." And she's just closed the door, and she's like, "We have to."
He's gone, by the way. You can't see him.
Oh, hello. I'm just
above you.
You look up above him, and he is literally hanging on his legs off of a trapeze. And he looks down at you.
So, Frida, I was just going to... after seeing that look from Lael, he's just going to... and he's actually going to go in.
Okay. So, he's extended himself down off this trapeze, and he turns and looks at you, and he goes...
A Kalimshan trapeze. Very, very nice. Good price, too. 3 nibs for this. I imagine you'd be good at it.
But just as he says this, all of a sudden the door opens and just smacks him right on the back of the head. It's like he's the door hanger, the bells that would ring when the door opens. And he just... Ow! And he kind of falls into this pile of refuse and rubbish, and he pulls himself up, dusts himself off, and he begins to kind of let out these curses and obscenities, but then he notices that there's a new person in, and he goes,
Hello! I'm Zoblob, proprietor of the old Zoblob shop. Nice to meet you. No relation to the eye tyrant in the window, huh?
Yeah, it's great to meet you, crazy person.
I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm the same one. The rest of you are crazy.
He looks to Lael, he just mutters, what the hell did you say to him?
Wizards are using airships to put chemicals and all sorts of things in the sky.
Oh my god, he's a chemtrailer. I love it. Well,
right, that's it. We're leaving now. We're leaving now.
No, you can't leave yet.
He's going to take Lael by the arm, and he's going to lead her towards the door, and he's just like, toss him a gold coin, do whatever you need to do, just get out of here.
Lael grabs the nearest, with her free arm, she grabs the nearest thing. She holds it up and points at it. She's like, how much?
That is a Cholton fertility statue.
Excellent. How much?
Wait, I think I've already got one of those.
Well, for one such as this, one that has such fine form, you will be looking at 4 nibs.
Okay, I toss him a silver. And she was like, nice meeting you.
For that, you can have the matching one. Let me go find it.
And he just runs off. And you do notice that this statue is a statue of a naked male with a rather pronounced phallus.
Cool.
I was going to glance down, it's like, they've been spying on me.
Lael says nothing. She's just completely like frozen, mortified, rigid.
And he comes back and he looks genuinely disappointed.
And he says, and apparently the other one broke. But, I found this. Would the lady be interested in this?
And it is an ebony figurine of a female dancing drow.
Oh, yeah.
He says, I don't know what this is. Never known Lolf to go parading about. But, anyways, You may have it for being so gracious and paying me so much.
No, thank you, she says, and she takes it and she holds the male phallic symbol in one hand and the drow statue in the other. And she was like, I'll come again.
Oh, please do! Bring in your friends next time.
Sure. Bye.
Bye-bye! Bye! Hello, bye-bye! Bye!
And at this point, he actually pops his head out, and he notices now for the first time Atreus. And he goes... kind of walks up to you, so that his head goes up even higher.
Sir, may I buy your fur?
Atreus simply looks at this figure and back at the two that's just left the building. You're
shave you myself!
You're welcome to try.
Nah. Very nice, though.
He kind of begins picking up some of it, and he actually pulls up one of your, like, leg hairs on your... and he begins, like, stroking it with one finger.
At that, there might...
soft.
Depending on where he goes, there might be the briefest flicker of certain... But as he starts to put his hands on him, Atreus reaches down and just picks this guy up by the scruff of his neck. And pulls him up to basically look at him full on in the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Put me down! Put me down! This is sizist!
And he takes him back inside, puts him on the nearest pile of refuse you can find. Refuse. I think you had best stay in here, and the customers out there. And he slams the door shut and does it hard enough to try and get this thing wedged.
Okay, roll a strength check.
Sure.
I was going to say, actually, if there's any stick-like objects, planks of wood lying around, we'll gladly try and wedge it in the handle.
18.
18. Okay, yeah, you not only wedge the door, but you actually break the knob on the door in such a way that it would be very hard for somebody to get out. He comes up, tries the door, realizes it's jammed, and you hear muffled behind the door,
You little snake of elderberries and your feather wasn't back!
Atreus just juggles this doorknob for a second or two in one hand and then eyes the roof behind him and just up and over his head, tries to get it caught in the gutters.
yeah, and very easily you do so. And you all kind of wander away. You know, it's one of those moments for those that live here. It's like, things you find in this fucking city. I don't even understand it.
I was just walking around with two naked statues.
I'd put those away if I were you, your ladyship. People might get the wrong idea.
Yeah, someone might think you are in the market for services.
If you don't put them away, we're going to have to get a table for 8.
A table for 8? Services?
Yeah, no
What is
worries.
wrong with this city?
Where do you even begin?
Yeah.
I just wanted a health potion.
I think you found a very different kind of health, he says and eyes the two statues.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
now seriously, now put those away.
Well, I'll put the Cholton fertility symbol away, but I want to examine this ebony drow statue
Okay.
for a little bit.
You put away the fertility symbol. You examine the... This is drow craftsmanship. Roll a history check for me.
Oh no. Oh no, that's fine, that's +1. No, not the fudged one, this one. That's a 12 + 1, 13?
Wasn't made on the surface. Know that for sure. It's come a long way from where it was made.
I tuck it away and I'm going to show a loose later.
Okay. And you all turn onto Fillet Lane and arrive at the corner where you can spot the entrance to the Skewered Dragon.
Atreus sort of stops at the street corner and eyes it up for a moment or two, watching a couple of occupants come in and out, and then turns one eye to Owen. I didn't think we'd be back here so soon.
Yeah, me neither, but, you know, the situation's improved a little bit since last time, so let's just play it calm, play it casual. Just follow my lead, okay?
No playing cards for this time.
Well, you know, can't make me promise that.
If 5,000 gold doesn't remind you of why not to play, I don't think I'm going to get very far either.
Look, God, it was a joke. Now, come on.
Are they talking
Just keep your eyes
for
open.
others to hear?
Atreus will have kept it a little bit mute, but maybe if you're close enough.
Okay, no.
And Owen's going to start down the street. He says, "Look, this place is this place can be dangerous. Just keep it cool, but stay alert for any sign of trouble, okay?"
At this point, walking up towards the door, you see coming out, flanked on either side by two thugs, is your friend Vizra. Bald-headed with 10 eyes tattooed around and 10 eyes on each finger. He steps forward, kind of pressing his hands together. Ah, I assume you haven't come with your payment. So what can I help you with, dead man?
I ain't dead just yet, Vidra. And besides, this may just work out in my favor for a change.
Really? I'm curious. How do you plan to get that much gold in an instant? It's not like there are hundreds of thousands of dragons buried deep beneath the city, after all.
See, the thing about that, Vidra, is that if we were to tell you, we'd have to kill you.
You could try. And who is this now? Is this the expanded Blackthorn Company running out of that shithole down run? Is this your whole expansive company?
These are just a few friends. They got nothing to do with me. They got nothing to do with our little situation. Just leave them out of it.
These ones I understand, but this one... He points at the small halfling figure. This one I'm curious about.
Why is that?
Tell me, little one. And he gets up right in your face and get this smell, Renly, of just rot, long over-expired beer, just nasty meat. Where do you come from?
Just pulls back and kind of like wipes the. Well, the name's Renly, and I surely didn't come from the hole that you did.
Indeed.
Lyle will step in front of Renly, between him and obviously this bald one.
The figure looks up at you and stands up so that he's eye.
That is enough.
Careful, Dark One. Don't want to get yourself caught up in this one's problems.
Be on your way, Vidra. I've no quarrel with you today.
Very well.
And he immediately kind of roughly shoulders past you, Lael. And As he reaches out, he goes to touch you, Renly. And as he reaches for you, you black out. The rest of you see Vizra put a hand on Renly's shoulder. And Renly, with a snarl, turns, and running down his hand is this white, chaotic, crackling energy that immediately erupts out of Renly's hand, slamming him up against the wall, and Renly holds this beam of energy, pinning Vizra against the wall. Vizra kind of eyes lolling in the back of his head. Finally, Renly lets it go and allows this chaotic energy to die down. And you watch as Vizra slumps down, possibly dead. Renly, you come back to life, come back to consciousness, standing over this figure.
Oh. Bloody hell, that hurt. Oh, my head. Oh, God.
You really are crazy, aren't you? Don't you know who that is? Have you gone completely mad?
Sorry, I don't know.
The body begins to convulse and crackle. You see its spine caves up into this bridge. You can hear vertebrae and ribs break as the body seems to contort and twist. And then the entire top of its head blows off. And you see, kind of diving out of the head, is this small, tiny brain on legs that kind of, looking cornered, looks around, and then skitters off down the street.
Renly's like hiding behind Lael, like, holding Lael's leg, just like scared, like hiding behind her.
I would like to roll a history check, please.
What in the name of Torn's balls just happened?
I would like to roll a history check.
Oh, sick. And it's just kind of goes sort of halfway out of his sheath, wide eyes at this whole situation. He actually takes a step back from Renly after witnessing this.
Yeah, I rolled 17. 16 plus 1.
There have been tales. You have been taught enough about the Underdark and enough about one of the things that even gives fear to a drow. And that is mind flayers. Illithid. Strange, aberrant creatures that raise horrible, horrible creatures known as intellect devourers that run around and once implanted in a person can devour their brain and then become themselves, basically. They eat the person's brain and take the place of that person's brain, allowing them to control them and live a life through them.
Leo will turn to Owen and Atreus, and she will say, "Are there illithids in this city?"
As this thing's going off, and as you ask the question, Atreus is going to thing, and he shouts to him, "What are you waiting for? Shoot it!"
Owen's just kind of staring a bit dumbfounded, man. I was thinking Vizra couldn't get any uglier.
And if there's no actual response from Owen in terms of action, Atreus is really
he's going to. Owen's actually just going to like hold his hand up and just say, just hold Atreus if we can. Just say, look, so steady on there. We don't know what we're dealing with here.
A mind
It skitters
flayer.
around the corner, and as everybody
We
is
go after it.
and arguing,
Owen's
and
gonna.
discussing, Renly, you're around the corner. You're off to the side, looking at this body, kind of half remembering that you did do this. As you look and you think to yourself about what kind of crazy adventure you may have got with these 5 other people. You look at the body again. For a split second, you see your grandfather lying dead on the floor. And you hear, "Murderer." And that's where we'll end today's session.
Good place to leave it.
Ah!
Wow.
Nice.
I'm
Oof.
sad.
Wow.
So,
I don't want to stop.
Or at least, like, start running after that thing.
Damn. Renly's fucked up.
had you chased after it, by the way, and looked, it would have been gone. Ran from sight.
Yeah, he's, woof, yeah.
All right,
that creeped
viewers,
the hell out.
thanks for sticking around with us as we launched Goldhart Gaming and premiered our game, Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Do tune in. We will be coming back in 2 weeks, and that, I believe, is the 20th of October. Same time, same great place. For those of you who wanted to enter our giveaway, I really hope you caught the hints, because they weren't hidden at all.
It grew progressively less subtle as time
Progressively
went on.
less subtle as time went on. Thanks
There
for
was a
sticking
lot of
around
winking.
and supporting us. And as you can see, this is gonna be a fun. We taking a minute to talk about what everybody else may be doing, or
Yeah, why not?
games, or perfect. Anybody got any other games or anything they'd like to plug? I suppose at the moment. Go ahead,
Yeah.
whoever wants to.
Okay, my name is Tahina. You can find me on Twitter at Tahina_Andale. And next Tuesday you can see me over at the Scratix Academy, where I play Forger Flamemain in the 2nd season of Wizards and Wardrobes. And we are also in Waterdeep.
Ooh.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Marcy. I run the Owl of Lycia on Monte Cook Games Twitch channel on every other Sunday. The next session is next Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. And then I'm in a bunch of other games, and mostly to follow up on those, easiest way to do it is at MARSIEVELLAN. Other place you will find me is on the Phantom Roll booth, where we just launched our Patreon. So, very exciting.
Congrats.
And I'm Gloss and Gadgets, and my home is here. I run Curse of Strahd, and we haven't set a date to relaunch our game. We're hoping for the 29th, but just below this chat in our about is a schedule where I've scheduled all the games for Waterdeep right up until December. So keep an eye on that, and hopefully you will see Curse of Strahd pop up. I advise you to tune in because horror's my specialty, and I love playing Strahd. So yeah.
If I may say so, we've got some really good characters, really good stories.
Oh, yeah.
going,
Absolutely.
so,
Looking forward to getting
make sure
back
you
to that.
catch up.
Me too.
Indeed.
And I forgot something. Another shameless plug. Since 2 weeks, I have been the Archdruid of the Mage College, and Archmage Derek has been hanging out in chat with us and tweeting and shouting out, and I would like to do the same because we are working on GoldenEye's Guide to Warlocks, and seeing as we are having 2 Warlocks here in the cast, that can only be good, right?
One of which
Absolutely.
has a
Check
golden
that
eye. Oh, interesting.
Oh, yes.
And for me, for those who liked my DMing style, I hope you did if you stuck around, because otherwise I don't know what the hell you were, apart from my lovely cast of players here. You can catch me over on the Fumbles and Fame Twitch channel every other weekend than this weekend. So the next Sunday that we play would be the 14th, where I am running Tomb of Annihilation, a completely different kind of campaign, one of which has our lovely Tahina as the cleric Runa, and apparently I just love putting Tahina through rain. So it's a good time, but yes, they are very, very close to being into the Tomb of 9 Gods, and then beyond that, who knows what will happen.
Ooh.
So, we're all doing something. You can find me on Twitter at TollyDM. Please follow Goldhart Gaming, because this is where all of the Waterdeep stuff and the Curse of Strahd stuff that we've been talking about has been happening, and also is where you can find people like Tahina and Marcy if you'd wish to follow them, and our lovely Boonjock, Canada. Other than that, folks, hope you had an enjoyable time. I had a great time.
We certainly did.
Really, really good story, folks. So please stick around for it. And always remember, you can write your own stories. Have a good day.
Nice.
So long, folks.
Good night!